Not only is it an economic justice issue, it's bad for business.
So the question was, how can you represent the entire district and middle-class, blue-collar constituents? I live in Agora Hills, but I am the council president and honorary mayor of Van Nuys, so I already am. Van Nuys is as blue-collar as you can get, with the GM plant that used to be there, with the Budweiser factory, just normal blue-collar folks. One of the nicest things about the way that the council system is set up in Los Angeles is you can be a stakeholder and own a newspaper in a particular area and then live in another area, like the Conejo Valley. My parents moved us here in the 80s for the school system. They wanted us to go to public school, and a great public school. The LVUSD is absolutely fantastic. So the question is, how can I represent the entire district and middle class, the blue collar workers? I currently already am, and living in Agora and being an elected official in the Valley lends itself to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions people like to turn in? All right. Again, this is going to be one for all of the candidates because a lot of them are very similar. And this question has to do with working bipartisanly with people in the other party. All of us here are Democrats or no party. But I wanted to know, have you ever in your political experience had to work with someone from the other party? And have you ever voted or supported someone of the other party? And can you tell us why? We'll start with you, Sean.
I went first last time.
Okay. Okay, all right.
All right. Well, I get 1 minute, right?
Yes.
Okay, so to actually get things done, you have to work with everyone. Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, whoever happens to be there. One of the beautiful things about being a council president is I get to work with everyone and learn the art of herding cats, which is really what it's like. If I want to get something done, I reach out to everyone. A lot of the times it's supposed to be nonpartisan, but we all know where people stand. But what I do is just try to bring everyone together. It's super important on a local level. It would be super important in Sacramento. There's only 40 state senators, so it would be a joy and a privilege of mine to get to go and you know, twist some arms and shake some hands and get some legislation passed. But at the end of the day, we all have to work together. We're all Americans, and Republican, Democrat, whatever you happen to be. As the elected representative and the senator, the goal is to get stuff done, and I would work with everyone.
Well, as a locally elected official, I hold a nonpartisan office. So I have to work with Democrats and Republicans every day to get things done. And that one of the frustrations with Sacramento is, and I talk about being in a bubble up there, is things start to look abstract and you lose track of what's really going on here. How come it is that we can come to a consensus regardless of partisanship at the local level, but somehow it turns into some sort of a divisive issue in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. So again, you know, I'll bring this down to common sense and start questioning people when they try to drive partisan wedges into issues and ask, wait a minute, is that really in the best interests of our constituency, or are we just playing politics here? Because ultimately, we're elected by the people, we represent them, and we're here to serve their best interests.
I'll give you just two examples since it's a very specific question. I worked extensively with the Schwarzenegger administration to be able to gain a piece of divestment legislation relating to contracts in the state of California that were actually benefiting warlords in Sudan. And we worked effectively across the aisle to be able to gain broad support for that initiative. And then in the Deukmejian and Wilson administrations, I worked extensively with their appointment secretaries to gain support for a number of Republican females to be appointed to various levels of the courts. Working on issues rather than in a partisan way, but on a feminist way, to be able to promote a women's agenda has always been the way that I approach problem solving. I am a good Democrat. I've been a Democrat my entire life, and I've only supported Democratic candidates, but I really feel strongly about the need to be focused on an objective, on a goal, and to do what you need to do to move that goal forward, finding alliances wherever you find them, almost anywhere, to be able to move a good goal forward with a broad coalition.
I'm a lifelong Democrat, 36 years as a registered Democrat.
I beat you.
I have never supported a Republican. I have never endorsed a Republican, and I won't. But on Porter Ranch and Santa Susana Field Laboratory, the Republicans who live closest to those absolute messes, they are supporting me because they see I am out there fighting to get those cleaned up, to get those fixed, and because of that, I have the best chance in this election with the enormous amount of Republican support that I am getting. I'm even supported in Simi Valley, is how strong this is. I'd have to say, really, most of the elected officials who represent Porter Ranch are Republicans, unfortunately. And I would say I would give credit to Mitch Englander, our city councilman. He really has been out there, and I have been working with him, and we are going to get this done together.
So this is a swing district, right? This is going to be probably the #1 target seat in the whole state. We have about a 9-point advantage as Democrats, but that means that there's a heck of a lot of Republicans and folks who don't affiliate with the party out here. So it's really about attitude, right? We battle in the Capitol. So for the last 3 or 4 years, we've had Republicans killing our bills to, you want to take the Porter Ranch example or take infrastructure, they've been killing our bills. How do you respond, right? Do you scorch earth and do you castigate people? Or do you accept it and turn around the next day and be ready to work with them? So Senator Huff, for example, killed a few of our fracking bills, killed some of our oil and gas measures. He's now the principal co-author of the moratorium we're putting on Porter Ranch. But the reason is because we didn't attack him personally. And we have, in my office, there's a disposition about moving forward together, right? It's not about scoring points. Now, I laugh when I see Mitch Englander up there, grandstanding and putting himself out there, because that party's killed a lot of our attempts to push this forward. But you can't fight like that. You've got to turn that other cheek and find a way to work across that aisle. So that's what it's going to take, and that's what we've been doing in my office, and I'll do that as your senator. So thank you.
Much like David, I work in a nonpartisan world. The Los Angeles City Council is nonpartisan. In fact, our only Republican of the 15 is Mitch Englander. So anytime he introduces something, it's by definition a bipartisan issue. So I've not been known to be the most partisan of folks. I work in a nonpartisan environment, and I'm more of a fan of civility and trying to get things done for everybody than just political scorched earth, which I think is a great term. So that's me.
All right, thank you. Did you know a majority of the cities, of municipalities in Ventura County have outlawed or at least put very tight restrictions on medical marijuana? But I have a question for you, Henry, that someone has asked. How do you feel about legalizing marijuana? I'm assuming that's for recreational use.
Thank you. So it's likely going to be on the ballot for full recreational use and non-medical purposes. I think it's crazy we put people in jail, adults in jail for smoking pot in this state. I think it's inefficient policy, and I frankly think there's not a huge moral difference between someone who's 45 and smoking pot and doing whatever else after work. But I am concerned about kids, right? So if you're 13 years old and you're in 8th grade, and you start smoking marijuana, the data is off the charts about your inability then to go on to higher education, right? Lack of performance, lack of brain development. So if this initiative doesn't have the right deterrence mechanisms for our youth, I'm not going to support it. As much as I think there should be a change in our criminalization policy, if kids don't have the tools to resist this big commercial onslaught they're about to face, where it's gummy bears on TV and all the advertisements, picture Joe Camel but for marijuana, that's not okay, right? And our kids aren't going to be able to handle that. So we have to have the right mitigation tools, and I haven't seen it yet from the initiative, so we'll see.
All right. Are there any follow-ups?
I have a terrible confession to make.
30 seconds.
I'm a computer nerd and I've never smoked pot. But despite that, I am thrilled that now we have medical marijuana available, and if I should ever need it, if my family should ever need it, they'll be able to get that. That is really a great improvement. And now we need to eliminate the regulations on it entirely. We need to be taxing it. We need to be not putting people in jail. We have way too many people in jail in our corporate jails. We need to be stopping that and making it legal, and I hope that we will be getting this on the ballot.
I have a little sadder story to tell because consistent with what Henry said, I actually have a son who is severely damaged by marijuana use. So I feel very, very strongly about no blanket legalization for marijuana because of its impact on formation of the brain. And I think there is a difference between older people using marijuana and younger people using marijuana where there's no good judgment yet developed and it has a lifelong impact. So I'm not in favor of a blanket legalization of marijuana. I do think we can figure out better enforcement mechanisms in our criminal justice system. Putting people in jail for that is ridiculous, I agree. But marijuana is a gateway in many ways because I saw it personally with my own child.
I'm David. I've often said that I can make a much better public policy case for having high fructose corn syrup as a controlled substance in marijuana. And it always seems strange growing up in California where alcohol and tobacco are legal uses but marijuana isn't. And I also think it's ridiculous that we're jailing so many adults for the use of it. However, the thing you have to remember, though, is the marijuana that we have today on the streets is not the marijuana we knew back in our days. It's highly concentrated into buds, and it can be a problem with brain development and addiction. And so we're going to have to approach this very carefully, and I'll stop there.
I'm glad this came up. Where I represent in Van Nuys, we have the most pot shops in all of the city of Los Angeles. This comes before our council all the time. As a political scientist and a reporter, it looks like it's going to be on the ballot and pass, just like in Colorado. With that